Oh, my little G9. What else is wrong with you? This video probably doesn't really belong in this series. It's not about the 3 things we covered earlier that are wrong with the camera. It's just about the kinds of things that will affect your frame rates in burst mode, and the fact that you'll probably never see the specified 9 frames per second in continuous autofocus. So I attached my nifty 50 up to the camera and made a few measurements. The first with the camera in manual mode, the lens wide open, 1/500th of a second shutter speed, and autofocus single. To best measure this, I've recorded the shutter sounds of the camera, and if we look at the waveform, we can see that there are 24 peaks from left to right at the top that would signify 24 frames taken across 2 seconds. So we are getting the maximum specified 12 frames per second with these settings. Now I'll run this test again with only one change, and that's going from f1.7 to f5.6. Wow, well, that certainly sounded a lot slower. And if you look at the waveform, you'll see that there is 16 peaks across our 2-second window. So that's 16 frames in 2 seconds, or 8 frames per second. Telling the camera to stop the aperture down to f5.6 means it will take 33% more time between each frame. I then ran some additional tests in continuous autofocus, and the fastest speed I got was with the automatic shutter at f1.7, followed by the electronic shutter at f1.7, and then the automatic shutter at f5.6, and then the electronic shutter at f5.6. I found it interesting to note that the auto shutter setting was faster than the electronic shutter, and the EXIF info indicated that the camera was using the electronic first curtain shutter with that setting. So, while I didn't get the maximum 9 frames per second with this lens, it was reasonably close, shooting wide open with the auto shutter setting. Obviously, some lenses are going to be faster, especially the more recent ones, supporting the 240 frames per second sensor drive. But you'll have to dig up the lens press release to find that out, as it's not listed in the specs. I have one such lens, the 12-60, but don't notice burst rates being appreciably faster with it. So I guess I'm done with this one. Seems the rule of thumb for the best burst rates is to shoot wide open with the auto shutter setting and look for glass with the fastest aperture focus control. You'd think faster pro glass would be what to look for, but I've seen some tests online indicating that Panasonic Leica 25mm 1.4 is actually quite a bit slower than the 1.7, so go figure. Kind of a drag Panasonic doesn't really publish anything definitive in this regard. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the final video in this series, some minor nits.